I'm sorry. I guess I couldn't help you after all. All I can do for you now is ease your wounds. I'm so sorry.
Ellie. You...